the Menzies Research Centre. Good on you, Rockstar. And of course, from Adoni Media, our dear friend, legend of Mount Cootha News Times, and so much more around Brisbane, the wonderful Lisa Goddard. Lisa, awesome to see you. So, hello. Freya, I'll start with you here. Censoring the internet. I think that's what it is. It's not a misinformation bill. It is the censoring of the internet. The legislation itself, that's my trick to go and read it up, hill, down, dale. I want to know what the definition of misinformation is. I want to know who is going to be policing that, how it works, how the complaint system works. What say you about what they're planning to do? What have you read?
It is honestly unbelievable. I mean, the first time they tried to put this bill forward, it received tens of thousands of submissions from concerned public members who just want to have an opinion. There was backlash against this from the whole spectrum of politics. Everyone from your civil liberties councils to your law council to the Human Rights Commission even, like everyone was against it.
Us, the ABC.
It's crazy. Yeah. We've probably never seen something so unifying for the whole of politics in Australia as our opposition to this bill. So they've tried to rework it now, but the fundamental flaws are still there. Most foundationally, they have not been able to get around the core issue, which is how on earth do you define misinformation?
Correct.
Who is going to be the arbiter of what is true and false? They have no answer. They're trying to shift it from ACMA and to the social media companies. The social media companies don't want to be the ones deciding that.
Correct.
On Meta's website, they say, we as a private company do not want to decide what is and isn't true. That's why they have independent third-party fact checkers, like the RMIT Facts Lab, that hasn't published a single thing since Sky News exposed that it was biased against The Voice in August of last year. So this is just absolutely riddled with issues, but the fundamental problem that no legislation will ever be able to overcome is who decides what is the truth.
Yeah, hallelujah, sing it, well done. I mean, look, again, my advice to anyone who wants to fight this, do not call it the misinformation bill, call it the censoring the internet bill, all right? Stop Labor censoring the internet, right? From all the way from the Greens, the Victorian Socialists, One Nation, Libs, whatever, right? If you're opposing it, it's about censoring the internet. Don't fall in for their terminology. Lisa, are we over the top here, or do you think something is really going on here?
No, I think you're right. And I think I listened to you tonight talk about censoring the internet, and, you know, it's when you start getting sick of saying it, people start to hear it. So think about how your each way elbow caught on. Most people don't really understand what they're talking about when you hear someone say misinformation. It's one of those words now that the young people today are just, I sound so old, but yeah, are just throwing around randomly. They don't really understand what that is. And as Freya said, there is no real definition as to what it will be. Like, we already have defamation in this country. You go to court to prove truth. Truth is how you stand up against defamation. I don't think we can rely on the social media companies to police it themselves. And it's terrifying to think that, particularly going into an election, that you could have some bureaucrat somewhere deciding what should be on the internet or what shouldn't. Because think about how many people now rely on those news feeds on their social media to actually understand what is happening in the world. They're ignorant enough as it is most of the time. Yeah. So if they're getting... you know, if the algorithm itself isn't limiting what you're getting, then you're going to have these decisions made about what you are allowed to read. It's dangerous.
Again, you know, they're going to turn around and they're going to say, oh, it doesn't affect the media organisations. It's not about what's on television. It's not about what's on radio. It's about what you see or hear on those places and repost, right? And also, Freya, what I don't like is that one of the examples of why we absolutely need this is because what people may or may not have been tweeting in and around the Bondi stabbings. Now, again, in real time, government can't get involved in that. Even a couple of days or a week later, they can't get involved in that. And I think that is... you know, I'm not going to fall for this garbage where they're going to pretend that the reason for it is this vague example rather than turning around and saying, OK, last year there were this many posts that were misinformation. Here's examples, here's examples, here's examples. They didn't do it. I think just what they want to do is exactly what happened during The Voice, which is anything against the narrative or the sales pitch is defined as misinformation. Because if it was defamation, it'd be off to a court. If it was a lie, again, we have systems to be able to deal with that. If it was discriminatory, we'd be able to go and deal with that. It's about giving, when all of that fails, one little thing. It's a little bit like, you know, when cops want to crack down on certain communities, They go, look, we can't get you for this, but we'll get you for that. Al Capone, we can't get you for this, but we'll get you for taxes. That's what I reckon.
Spot on. You're absolutely right. I remember during the Voice campaign, I made a bunch of TikToks about why I was voting no. They got over 6 million views, and it actually got me onto the ABC's Q&A, which was quite an experience. I was up against Jed Kearney, who's a Labor Member of Parliament, and I was the only one on the panel that had the balls to actually say why I was voting no. As I'm speaking and articulating what we know the majority of Australians believe, she yells out, "That's misinformation."
Yeah.
That shows you exactly what is behind this bill. This is an attempt by Labor to silence dissenting opinions. They did it in the Voice, and now they're rolling out the legislation to allow them to legally silence you as well.
I love it. I love it. I could do it all night, but there's other things to talk about.